Thank you, Jenny. You know, leading up to tonight and thinking about the resurgence of the shul, I was thinking about how Kingsway is different and what has allowed the shul to prosper in recent times. The best analogy to describe it is, you know when you go away for Shabbos and you take a suit, a dress, a tie, a shirt, and you take just another one just in case? Well, the shul kind of runs in the same way. If you think about it, we have a beautiful shul upstairs, but we have another one just to my right, just in case. We have a wonderful rabbi. We have two wonderful rabbis, two amazing presidents. Three presidents? Three rabbis, sorry. Stealing my joke. We have 2 minyanim for Shabbos in the week, 2 screens in the foyer, 2 doors in the front, and 2 doors in the back of the shul. We have 2 menorahs by the Aron, 2 wash stations for Brechas Kohanim, 2 people to do Pesicha. We even have 2 kiddush clubs. This is the shul of 2. As a side note, we do have 3 gaboim, just saying. And I think there's a theory for that. It's a kind of just in case. Because you know, shul without a rabbi, a president, a hall, 2 people for Pesicha, or a kiddush club. No. A shul without a gabbai, on the other hand, you know, that's my theory. But on a serious note, the symbolism of 2 underlines the strength of the shul. We have discovered the recipe. Things are done better in pairs. Jeff always likes to say, people ask him in the street all the time. 2 vice presidents? Thank you for that. It's a late breaking news, fake news, real news. We have 2 vice presidents. Thank you, it's. Jeff always likes to say, 2 trustees, right? And the list of 2 goes on. Basically, everybody's bolstering my point. Jeff likes to say that people always continuously ask him in the street, hey, Jeff, I heard you're down at Kingsway, or you're president at Kingsway, and you have 2 rabbis. How's that working out? The answer is simple yet profound. When you have 2 forces, 2 rabbis working together for the betterment of the kahal, then it works, and it works very well. When a shul has 2 presidents working in tandem, making sure the wheels of the shul are turning, then you get a result that's far more successful than 2 people working independently of one another. When you have a chairman of the board and a vice chairman of the board working with the lay leadership to make sure that the shul's needs are met, that's the recipe for success. As Yiz told me when I became Gabbai, at Kingsway we check our egos at the door. I said, which one, the back or the front? But seriously, it's this unity and the common goals that are the core of the shul's success. Other shuls in the area, please take note. Tonight, we celebrate 2 people that embody this very midah. As husband and wife, as rabbi and rebbitzin, as parents, as leaders and role models. Our guests of honor tonight, the very talented power couple, Rabbi Dr. Mordechai and Mira Schiffman, have shown us that working together has made the ultimate success they are. Please focus your attention right now on the screen as we have a video presentation to honor the Schiffmans. Followed by
I've been asked to announce that we are on schedule and that the dessert room will be available very shortly. Most people come to a dinner, especially when they're guests of honor at a dinner. And the assumption is you're going to hear wonderful things about the guest of honor. But let's face it, I mean, how much do you really remember of all the dinners that you've been to, the things that have been said about the guests of honor? So instead of talking about the successes of Rabbi Mordechai Schiffman, I would like to talk about his greatest failure. And this I think you'll remember. When Rabbi Schiffman was initially hired him as an intern rabbi at the shul, at the end of his intern experience, he was looking for a position, and the job market was rather thin at the time. And Rabbi Schiffman approached me and said, what do you think about my becoming the assistant rabbi here? And you don't have to pay me anything extra. So I said, that's a great negotiation. But that's not his biggest failure. We're going to get to that. So I had been an assistant rabbi myself, but I never had an assistant rabbi work with me. And so I consulted with other senior rabbis about the advent of having an assistant rabbi and what it means and any potential pitfalls and what to expect and things of that nature. So one rabbi told me the following story, that he was an assistant rabbi in a major shul in Manhattan. And I'm not going to tell you the name of the shul because it doesn't really redound too well to the rabbi who I'm going to speak about now. When interviewing, the rabbi said to him the following: I don't know why you want this job. If you fail, the Balabatim will not be happy. And if you succeed, I won't be happy. So I sort of got the point of that. And I've always attempted, I think, to be a genuine, authentic person. And I told Rabbi Schiffman this story. And I told him, I said, you, this, that, it's all nice. I gave him one instruction, one simple directive. And that was, don't outshine the rabbi. And in this regard, he has been a miserable failure. Rabbi Schiffman was and continues to be a budding Talmid Chacham whose Torah knowledge is informed by a broader understanding of the world. He's a clinical psychologist, and he's an avid learner. He's a more sophisticated thinker as a consequence. He's a more sensitive halachic decisor as a consequence. He's a more nuanced student of Torah and a deeper human being. And this is abundantly clear, I think we all see from his choice and his explication of various Torah thoughts on the Parsha on Thursday nights. Mishmar, everyone's invited, 9 o'clock Thursday nights. Rabbi Schiffman speaks on the Parsha, and it's always something interesting and unique and a different approach. And his choice of what he chooses and the individuals, the rabbis that he brings in are always interesting and not necessarily run-of-the-mill. And it's equally evident by the response he receives from his loyal Pirkei Avos Shir students on Sunday mornings. And if you come to the Mincha Mariv on Yom Tovim, where we have shiurim between Mincha and Mariv, Rabbi Schiffman always has some out-of-the-box topic that he usually does not bring to conclusion. Another failure. Because his mission is not to feed you knowledge, but to inspire you to grapple and think about the issues. If I'm unable to deliver a shiur, Rabbi Schiffman is more than willing and fully capable to step in as though he had been preparing for days. Rabbi Schiffman is a man of vision. He is always thinking about how we can do things better in our community, how we can take the shul to the next level. When some years ago we had an influx of new families, it brought a challenge of how to create a community from disparate individuals. Rabbi Schiffman launched a very informal Friday night to Oneg at some individuals' homes, which was really the beginnings of community building in a very significant way. And if the goal of a shul is to help inspire its members towards greater avodas Hashem, Rabbi Schiffman is constantly thinking how to accomplish that goal. He led for several years, for example, a series on women and Tanakh, just as one example. Now, one of his shiurim, he laid out that in today's family structure, it's really unfair to assume that the wife has all the cooking duties, for example. And when both spouses are usually working outside of the home, the traditional models of the husband working and the wife doing all of the domestic duties just doesn't seem to pan out. And I want you to know that this changed my life. And now it's true. I happen to like to cook. And now every time that I fail to help out at home, I feel guilty. Changed things tremendously. But in truth, actually, I do like to cook. But since my wife is a traditional Sfaradiya woman, it means two things. One is that she has a sense of proprietorship over the kitchen. And it also means that she has absolutely no faith in me. If left to my own devices, that I can be trusted to meet her objectives. But Rabbi Schiffman also led our Global Chesed Initiative, which in my opinion, the crown jewel of which is the mitzvah clowning, which we do once a year. We attempted to launch this, I think, 3 years ago, or 4 years ago. In the first year, we had 3 people sign up, and we had to cancel it. And we said, oh, technical issues. But in fact, only 3 people had signed up. So we tried one more year. So I guess it was 3 years ago. We tried one more year. And the second year, about 10 people, 12 people came. And this past year, on our mitzvah clowning day, I think we had over 30. Is that right, Rabbi Schiffman? We had over.
First year was just us, 2 families.
Yeah, it was just Rabbi Schiffman and myself the first year. And I think I canceled. But when a family has the blessing of a new child, it is Rabbi Schiffman who makes sure that if they desire, the family is provided meals from other families in Kingsway who are cooking and providing for them as mother recuperates and gets her bearings. Rabbi Schiffman never loses the trees for the forest. Not just a big picture person, 400 people in shul. No, he's concerned about every single individual who walks through our doors, offering sage counsel to many who seek him out. And I won't offer examples, even without names, lest I inadvertently embarrass someone. Rabbi Schiffman is unafraid to try new things, where I am. Not so much because I don't want to try new things, but I only like to try things that I think are going to actually succeed. And Rabbi Schiffman says, try it. If the worst comes to worst, it'll fail. And more often than not, it succeeds. Rabbi Schiffman is humble. He gets down on the floor with the kids, like Shlomo Akoka mentioned on Simchas Torah and many other times, as you saw in the video. And or he'll go to Amazing Savings to pick up something for a program when nobody else is available, because it's not about, for him, a position or what's bakavadik, or it needs to get done, and it has to get done. He'll make sure that it's done one way or the other. Rabbi Schiffman is an active father, an active husband, and an active homemaker, sharing in the domestic duties. Yet he seems to me to be one of the few people I know who can actually cram 25 hours into a 24-hour day. Rabbi Schiffman has guided and created most, if not all, of our shul's marketing material and website development over the last several years. And it is true that as a team, it is primarily Rabbi Schiffman whose impact we directly feel at Kingsway. After all, Meira has a career. She's a very accomplished business professional. But it is no cliche, although it might sound as such, to say that in addition to Meira's direct impact, hosting families, offering Divrei Torah, leading the women's singing group, creating friendships, and cementing many, many members' desire and commitment to be part of the community, being a force that attracts and binds our families to the shul, she is also a full partner in Rabbi Schiffman's work. It would be impossible for him to spend as much time as he does at Kingsway and on Kingsway without Meira's complete and full support. When I brought Rabbi Schiffman as a rabbinic intern, he had all the rabbinic qualifications, checkbox, check, 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 but he had 2 qualities that stood out for me. One, as you saw, he is an Eagle Scout, and he had an interest in psychology. So he had the Talmud Chacham piece, he had the psychology piece, and the Eagle Scout. The intellect, the emotion, and the skills to bring concept into reality, which he does in spades. And oh, by the way, he also runs our youth program. Rabbi Schiffman's shiurim, in one of Rabbi Schiffman's shiurim, he mentioned a sfas emes. The Gemara says Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai had a Talmud, Rabbi Yossi, who he called a chassid. He called his Talmud a chassid. And his Talmud, Rabbi Yossi, states the following: You should be exceedingly careful about other people's properties. Be respectful. Study Pirkei Avos. Make every moment spiritual, meaningful experience. And in that, as Fasana says, means to say brachos, to make every moment a spiritual moment. And Rabbi Schiffman models this for us in so many ways. He's exceedingly careful about other people. He's sensitive, he's kind, he's compassionate. He tries to make for himself and for all of us every moment into a spiritual, meaningful moment. And of course, he teaches Pirkei Avos every Sunday morning, 9:15. I am grateful every day how Rabbi Schiffman has failed to meet my one objective that I set for him. Don't outshine the rabbi. And in doing so, he has made the Balabatim here very happy, and he has made me very happy as well. Rabbi Schiffman challenges me to be a better rabbi. Rabbi and Meira Schiffman together make us a better, more profound, more inspired, more knowledgeable, more thoughtful, more sensitive kahila. He is the whole package. Rabbi Yoel Gold tells the following story. It's an amazing, amazing story. There's a camp, summer camp in Israel called Machanayim. Anybody here has heard of it? And a fellow was a division head at the camp. His name is Eliav Friedman. And at the beginning of the camp, he was giving an impassioned speech to the counselors before the campers showed up. He said, keep a keen eye out for any kid who feels alone. And he was really very powerfully making this point. And the reason was, when somebody approached him, was because as a kid, he was also in camp. And he felt quite alone and forlorn. And there was a counselor there by the name of Ezi Fireworker, don't know who he is, who did that for Eliav. And it changed his summer experience, and it changed really his life. And now 20 years later, he's in a position, and a camp director and a division head, and charging his staff to do the same. The camp director, Rabbi Goldstein, different Rabbi Goldstein, was so moved by this, he decided to track down this fellow, Ezi Fireworker, to see if he knew how much of an impact he had made on a kid 20 years earlier that is now doing what he's doing. And he found him. He called him up. He tracked him down, looked him up, and he said, do you remember Eliav Friedman? And Fireworker said to him, the truth of the matter is I don't remember him because I really did that to everyone. He said, why? What motivated you? He said, when I was a kid, I was in camp, and I was very lonely and forlorn, and there was a guy in camp that came over to me and made me feel comfortable and made me feel wanted and took me out of my feelings of loneliness. And he said, oh, well, who was that? I'm going to call him up now. He said, his name is Rabbi Shmuel Kamenetsky. He says, you mean Rabbi Shmuel Kamenetsky, Rosh Yeshiva in Philadelphia? He said, yes, he was a guest in the camp. And he had that impact on me. There is no doubt the ripple effects that we have on people when we know it, when we don't know it, directly, indirectly, sometimes for good, sometimes for ill. But there's no doubt in my mind that sitting here tonight and represented here tonight are individuals who 20 years hence will say my life changed because of Rabbi Mordechai and Meira Schiffman. And I, for one, can count myself amongst that group. Welcome. Oh, I forgot to announce our special guests who outshine Rabbi Schiffman.
Not me this time. Get your pictures. Here, here.
Now for the fun
Lower, lower.